How we doing, everybody? And welcome into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage, always joined by my co-host here. I got Aaron over there from Brutally Honest Sports, his own show on the opposite side. He's my co-host here, and he's got his own show out there. You know, he's got to expand himself a little bit, right? So, Aaron, how we doing? Coming back. We're at the end of the weekend. It's Sunday here. We're at the end of the weekend. But how we doing on this Sunday night?
Oh, excuse me, still battling that a little bit, but yeah, pretty good, all things considered. And I mean, it was a quick weekend, as they always are, but from a sports perspective, a lot. I mean, more than you thought would go on, I think went on. So can't complain about that. We can kind of get right into it. But yeah, doing pretty well. It's starting to cool off here at night, though. I definitely will say that, which is okay. It's just it's definitely like, whoa, you walk outside, it's a different feeling. So.
You know, the worst time of year is when you get in I got a work van, right? I'm an electrician. I got a work van. I get in my van in the morning. I got to turn the heat on. And then in the afternoon, I got to turn the AC on to go home because it's hot again. It's like, that's the worst time of year is when you're going through a cycle like that. You get back in your van at the end of the day, you turn your van on. It's like, holy shit, it's hot in here. Like, why is it so hot in here right now? You're like, crap, I got to turn the AC back on. I mean, just madness this time of year. And we want to thank a special shout out to a good friend of the show, Key Williams. Made that fantastic intro video for the show. I loved it. Loved every second of it. Hopefully you guys loved it out there. And make sure everybody out there, if you're on Twitter, wherever you are tuning in tonight, make sure you're commenting in on the show. We'd love to hear your opinions. Badgers, Packers, NFL, college football, WWE. I don't even care if you're talking about WWE. Just you, in the comments, just shoot us a comment. We'd love to hear what you got to say out there. So, Aaron, I got a question for you. Before we start up, have you ever heard of bacon butter? Have you ever heard of bacon butter?
I think I've maybe heard of it, but never seen it, never tried it, never. I've maybe heard those two words together. That's the extent of it. Not well versed in it.
So my mom, she's this fantastic lady out there, runs a hardware store. She found this. It's called Bacon Up. It's this butter greasy. I don't even know what you would call it. It's like butter grease thrown into a container. But I tell you what, it's fantastic. I had it on pork chops one night. Oh my goodness. I mean, I was like, are you kidding me right now? This is fantastic. I don't know what it was. If it was the grease, if it was I don't know. But it was the most fantastic thing I have ever put onto a saucepan with pork chops. It was just great. So I had to ask. Anybody out there had bacon butter before or some version of it? I'd love to hear what you guys put it on. Shoot me your recipes in the comment section too, because I am willing to cook up whatever. And we got to get to it right away. Big Cat from Barstool Sports is cooking up a little bit of something special for them Wisconsin Badgers right now. I want to start in the Badger front, but I want to look at what Big Cat had to say. Dave, how do you say his name over there, Aaron? Portnoy? Is that how you say it? Portnoy? I don't know. Something like that. He's throwing it out. But he said that he'd spend $3 million to help Michigan, the Wolverines out there, get a quarterback. They're sucking at the quarterback position. He's telling them, I'll get you guys a quarterback. Well, Big Cat says, you're not going to out me like that. I'm going to help my Badgers out too. So he's going to be helping the Badgers try to find a quarterback right now. And this is what he had to say. So I'm going to read his quote out there. Hey, Wisconsinite podcast there. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Awesome to see you in the comments. Make sure you're telling us what you're thinking tonight there in the comment section. But Big Cat comes on and he says, I want it to be on the record. I'm a man of action. Wisconsin's quarterback will probably cost considerably less than Michigan's, but I have a plan, and I think I'm going to be able to do what you laid out. It's going to be, though, contingent on basically anyone who lives in the state of Wisconsin, who cares about the Badgers, who knows someone who has a business, is going to have to buy Stella Blue Coffee when I say go. So Big Cat, he's planning on using Stella Blue Coffee, so I'm not much of a coffee drinker, but if it's going to help my Badgers get a quarterback of some making, I'm going out to buy a coffee. That's all I'm telling you right now. So, Aaron, I mean, you're not a Wisconsin guy, you're a Penn State guy, but how does that make you feel? You got some of these guys from Barstool Sports. They're like, hey, we got to help out our programs. Nothing illegal about it in any way, shape, or form, but how does that make you feel out there?
It's interesting, right? I mean, Portnoy's always like banged the drum for Michigan. Like he's always been front and center. And like Portnoy is Barstool. Like without Portnoy, there is no Barstool. So like he carries a lot of weight in that respect. But What is it? Big Cat, right? I always forget, but
Yep, Big Cat.
Big Cat. I mean, yeah, any like internet traffic is helpful, and you bring in notoriety to a school that doesn't get like a Michigan, USC. Like there's marquee universities that just get all the eyeballs, and then it's just like not to take anything away from Wisconsin, but I think some publicity would help. Like that's not a bad thing. So, Big Cat doing that. It's I don't want to say I hate it. I do kind of hate it that we've gotten to this point, but it is also fun and cool at the same time. Like, we're going to start seeing, I'm surprised McAfee hasn't done anything. Maybe it's because he's kind of tied to ESPN at the moment, but like you would think he would try and, make West Virginia a powerhouse because that place is like madness anyway. That's just one of those places that, the more and more eyeballs on that place, it would just get crazier and crazier. And then, them having success, any school having success, it goes down like Alabama. They've had so much success for so long that it's just like a train going downhill and it just never ends. So, yeah, I mean, I like it for Wisconsin. I like it, for you guys that you root for Wisconsin. I think it's only can be beneficial. It's just, I wish like maybe I sound like get off my lawn, but like I wish we haven't gotten to the point where we're buying. Like it's now we are turning into like free agency or whatever. You know what I mean? It just feels different, but it's cool at the same time. Like it's fun. It is fun. So
yep. No, I agree. And it's the day and age we're living in, and honestly, from a Wisconsin standpoint, I love it. Because we don't have all that money to be spending like Alabama and all these other schools. So for a Wisconsin guy in Big Cat to say like, hey, I'm going to do my best to get you guys a quarterback that's going to be, substantial, be able to hold his own in the Big Ten Conference, I love it. I love that there. So just a little bit of a tidbit there to start the show out there with Big Cat talking about getting a quarterback into Madison, but we got to talk about the Badgers' performance against Purdue. Aaron, they definitely covered the spread. I know you picked that game as one of your picks for the week. They definitely covered the spread. 52-6 was the final in that one. And Braden Locke, after a bad start, threw 2 interceptions early in that game, and you had that feeling with Braden Locke that it was like, crap. This is a continuation off of Alabama. This is USC game all over again. We're not going to see good. And we saw good. We saw good finally out of Braden Locke. He's actually the first Badger quarterback to throw for over 300 yards since 2015, and that was Joel Stave who did it there. So impressive work out of Braden Locke after a slow start. Once again, he got it going. Good stuff there. 20 for 31, 359, 3 touchdowns, those 2 interceptions, like I mentioned, but those are early on in the game. He got it going in that second half, and that's what you love to see it. You love to see a guy progress throughout a game. Hopefully he carries that over now because, Purdue is one thing. They're not a great program right now, but you're going to see some bigger teams down the road here. You got to have good quarterback play when you head into those. And another thing is you were without Will Pauling. You were without Bryson or Green in there. Green got hurt. Pauling got hurt. You were losing guys left and right in that game, and you had guys step up. Trek Kikawana, who we talked about in the preseason talk, was one of the guys that we expected could potentially step up this year, become a very good receiver. 6 catches for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a guy who's filling into a spot. We weren't going to see him much with Will Pauling in there, but without Will Pauling in the fold, you got to love it. You got to love a guy like that stepping up, a redshirt freshman there. And then Vinny Anthony. Vinny Anthony is turning into a go-to big play guy for the Badgers. 2 catches, 66 yards, and a touchdown. But like I said, 52 was the long on the game there. He had a 52-yard catch, touchdown again. Vinny Anthony's turning into the guy we were hoping he would be for this Badger team. And Tyree Walker, he takes over on the ground there without Ches Malusi, 19 carries for 94 yards and 3 touchdowns. You love it. You love it out of this Badger team there. 52-6. 52-6. What is there to really, break down? I guess from a Purdue standpoint, it didn't make sense, Aaron. It didn't make sense. This is a Purdue team who has struggled this season, but you look at this Badger defense, and the biggest spot they struggle is on the defensive line. Their defensive line is just not there. And Purdue decides, okay, let's run outside the tackles. Let's let the safeties, the corners, the outside linebackers do their thing. Let's avoid running towards the defensive line that struggled this year. It didn't make sense from a standpoint there. I don't know. Did you have time to check out much of this game there? It's an odd game plan for a team that has struggled going up against a defense where their weakest link is that defensive line, and now you're running away from it. It didn't make sense.
Yeah, and I feel like Purdue is usually like I don't watch Purdue week in and week out, but like, you know, in the times I do check out Purdue, they seem like they're usually in past years like an intelligent football team. I don't know if they went through a coaching change or something like that in recent memory, but they usually are like like they're a tough team. Like they're fundamental. They usually have a pretty good defense. Like they're a stereotypical Big Ten team. Like they can usually run the ball pretty decent. And like for them to get, and like I'm not trying to take anything away from Wisconsin. Like Wisconsin, you know, just completely outplayed them in all facets. When you lose by 40 some points, like you're kind of getting absolutely blown off the field. But yeah, I mean that doesn't make much sense at all. I mean, maybe if they started the game a certain way and then okay, now we're gonna go at their weakness. I somewhat get it, but like you would think they'd want to, you know, kind of get the ball rolling. You know, you're at Camp Randall, a pretty hostile environment as it is. Like let's like make sure we can just kind of capitalize on their weakness. And the fact that Purdue didn't try and do that is mind-boggling. I mean, they dropped to 1-4. This is definitely just a bad season for them all the way around. Like you're not really coming back. I mean, even if they win the next 3, which is pretty much nearly impossible at this point, but yeah, I mean, tip your cap to Wisconsin. That's I think pretty much by far the most points they put up all year. So, yeah. I mean, you gotta hope they can continue that. It might be a combination of like Wisconsin playing well and Purdue being awful. Like that might be a combination there. But yeah, I mean, any momentum you can take, and you know, if you win a game by, like I said, over 40, you're like you should have confidence going into the next game because you absolutely blew the doors off the other team. And I can't imagine, like, I don't know if you've ever experienced like a long travel after like playing any type of sport, but like any of these teams that have to, like Penn State, I mean, it's not like Penn State obliterated UCLA. They won by, 20 some, but UCLA scored in like the last minute or whatever. But like to fly cross country after getting your, not that, I mean, Purdue, you still got to travel back, but like, yeah, I mean, that's any of those road games where you're just getting obliterated. It's like, do you want to get home? Do you want to because when you get to the plane or the bus or whatever it is, it's like, even as a Purdue team, you lose by 40 some. It's like, okay, now like you can't be in a positive mind space. Like, and you're surrounded by your teammates who also like, you're all in that together, just getting crushed. Like that's tough.
I can't say I've had that long of a drive. Sectional semifinal baseball, we had a 3-hour drive back after losing that one. That was rough. That was rough. It was all by bus. You know, you're sitting on these crappy seats on a yellow school bus going down the road. Like that was a rough time. That was a rough time. I will never forget the funniest story I heard from my younger cousin is he plays high school football now, and they had, I can't remember who they were playing one night, and they got spanked. They got spanked good. He's a freshman, so he's not really playing or anything. And they get on the bus after the game and gets on, and their coach is coming on, and he's all kinds of fired up because they just got the doors knocked in. And he goes, I want every single one of you not to talk. And he said, I want you to think about what you did wrong in this game that you can improve on. My cousin's sitting there, and he goes, I played for 8 seconds. What did I do wrong in 8 seconds that I'm supposed to be sitting here thinking about? And I'm like, you're right. You should have been the only one talking on this bus because you played for 8 seconds. The game was already over when you came in. You did nothing wrong in that one. That was hilarious when he said that to me. It's like, what was I supposed to think about? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. You had some bad food or something earlier. I don't know. Think about something.
See, that's even worse because it's like we got the doors beat off us, and I didn't even get to see the field. Like that would be the thought going through my head is like, well, maybe I should have saw the field because look what happened out here with everybody. Like I don't know, but yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I get it from a coach. Like it's not a bad thing. It's just like you talk about ruminating and like just negative. Like there's no other way around it. Like you're just stuck. You're just hoping like you get home and you can go to sleep probably at that point.
That's all you're hoping for. That's all you're hoping for at that point there. So, I mean, let's get back to the Badgers there. I mean, the biggest thing that I saw and what I thought I was seeing all season long was the offensive line for the Badgers dominate. They played Alabama, and Alabama wasn't able to do a lot of things they wanted to do against the Badgers because the offensive line played well. Same against USC. In this game, it was utter dominance in the run game, in the pass game, giving Braden Locke time to make deep passes down the field, opening up holes for Tyree Walker, especially in short yardage on the goal line, wherever it was. Just the simple things that you loved about Wisconsin football, we're starting to see again. This offensive line played fantastic, and the penalties. The Badgers were only penalized 3 times in this entire game for 30 yards. In comparison to Purdue with 6 for 55. Not a big gap there, but limiting the penalties, right? That is the biggest killer to any program, any football team, any game, is when you get penalized, pre-snap penalties, everything like that. This was a game where the Badgers played it clean, they played it right, and got the job done. So you got to love that. You got to love that out of this Wisconsin Badger team. And, that was the big takeaways that we had out of this one. Outside of that, there was one other takeaway I had, and that was at the end of the first half, the Badgers played it perfect. They got the ball down the field, scored. I believe the drive was 11 plays, 75 yards before the half, ran the clock down to 9 seconds, gave Purdue no time at the end of the first half there. And then coming out of the second half there, went down the field, scored again a touchdown there. You got to love that. Back-to-back, something that happened to them against USC, they did it back to Purdue. That's awesome football right there. It's awesome football. So, not a whole lot of negatives to take out of a 52-6 win there. We'll get more into this game midweek here and then prepare for the upcoming game for this Wisconsin Badger team, as they're going to have another test heading to Rutgers. Rutgers is not a bad football team. They're not a bad football team by any stretch, and you can't take them lightly. So the Badgers will have another big game there coming up at Rutgers next weekend there. Let's look at the rest of this college football scene, because holy crap, it was a mess. It was a mess, and if Cal wouldn't have blown it against Miami, it would have been a disastrous weekend for the top 10. It would have been just wild. That would have been a wild weekend. So we got to start with the big one. We got to start with the big one of the weekend, and that was Vanderbilt. Man, you go to Vanderbilt, and you're watching that Vanderbilt-Alabama game, and I didn't realize it until I actually watched it, but there is absolutely not – there's like no Vanderbilt fans in Vanderbilt. It is like all Alabama fans, and then one section up is Vanderbilt. Like, you would have thought you were playing in Tuscaloosa. Like, there was no Vanderbilt fans there, and Vanderbilt takes care of business. 40-35. Alabama tried to make a comeback. They dug themselves a hole, tried to make a comeback there, and Vanderbilt held on. Aaron, wow. What did we learn? I guess that's the biggest thing. What did we learn? Is Alabama not as good as what we thought? Or is Vanderbilt, was this just one of your classic SEC trap games where Alabama didn't expect Vanderbilt to be any good, and then all of a sudden it was like, crap, we're in this 23-14 hole at the half, and now we got to dig ourselves out?
Yeah, I got to kind of lean on the fact that it was just like a trap game. I don't want to say they took them lightly. I don't know. I would think Alabama's smarter than that. Sometimes I question if like Penn State's smarter than that, because I've seen it time and time again play down to competition. But like I would think even with what is it, the Bull, right? I always want to like question their coach's name, but
Kalen DeBoer.
DeBoer. Yeah, I just can't. I'm so used to it being Nick Saban that it's just like nothing ever like feels right about saying somebody else's name. But if you looked at like the breakdown of this, Alabama, the 2 turnovers, Vanderbilt, none. The time of possession is like insane. Vanderbilt 42 minutes, Alabama 17. Like they controlled that. We always stress that, whether it's the Packers, it doesn't matter who, Wisconsin, own the time of possession. And that's what you want to do against a team like, a powerhouse like Alabama. Milroe didn't play. I wouldn't say he played horrible, but he didn't it wasn't a memorable game for him in any memorable in the fact that they lost, obviously, but it's I cannot believe I don't know if you've ever seen that clip of, it was like a defensive lineman back in the day, and he said he was a Vanderbilt defensive lineman. He's like, when you come play us, it's going to be different or something. And yep. Trolled for like forever, but now it actually hits like full circle because Vanderbilt was the team to beat Alabama, which is like so funny in a nutshell. But Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe, like, I thought at some point in the fourth quarter, Alabama would just not win by like 20, but they just kind of step on Vanderbilt's throat and say, all right, enough of this. Like, we're the Crimson Tide. We're like the creme de la creme of college football, but it never really happened. And yeah, I mean, I'm not saying DeBoer has pressure on him, but like, it's like, you got to think Nick Saban sitting there, shaking his, like, not that Nick Saban didn't lose games, but like, and Alabama's dropped games to like random teams even under the Saban era, but it's still like you're being compared to probably the best college football coach of all time, and you drop a game like that. I mean, people, the newspapers and everything else, it's gonna get noisy in Tuscaloosa for him, and like we'll see how he handles it. Like, some people love that type of thing. The guy's like not lost many games in his whole college career. I think he's lost like 12 games or something. Like, his record is just unreal. But yeah, I you couldn't have told me this was going to happen. Like, I did not see. I mean, I was surprised Washington beat Michigan, but you called that one. But like, I don't know if I
told you.
I don't know if anybody called this one. Like, I really, even as a Vanderbilt fan, like, they might have 20 fans out there, but I don't know if any of them even called this one. So
the 20 fans that were there in Vanderbilt they were optimistic. They were like, we can hang with these guys. So absolute madness in the college football world. We saw that. And then we see, I mean, Ohio State took care of their business in the second half. They held true to them 7-0 at the half, but it's Iowa. They have no offense. When you have a good defense, but you have no offense, it just doesn't end well. And Ohio State was able to take advantage of that, did their thing in the second half, won that 35-7. And then we get to more madness. We see Arkansas take care of Tennessee, 19-14. And watching the end of that game, I don't know if you had a chance to see the end of that game. You might have saw a clip out there, but Tennessee's quarterback there, I can't remember the name off the top of my head there. Can't remember his name. Let's see here. Oh, I can't even. Nico. We're going to call him Nico because I cannot pronounce that last name there. I'm sorry out there, folks, but I cannot pronounce that last name. But he rolls out, and in that situation, there's no time left on the clock. You have to throw the football. I don't care where you throw the football. If it gets picked off, it gets picked off. You have to make a play. He looks at his first route, not there, steps up, rolls out to his right, realizes that nobody's open, and then just takes off for the sideline there, gets pushed out of bounds, game over. It was just one of those situations where, knowing the situation, didn't even make an attempt at a throw at the end zone. I mean, who knows? It probably wouldn't have been complete, but you got to take a shot there. So Arkansas wins that game against Tennessee. I mean, that was wild. I mean, I couldn't have seen that. I know in college football, they say Arkansas is in the video game. They say Arkansas is the team to go with. But, I mean, I didn't expect this one here.
No, definitely not. I mean, Tennessee's really become, back in the landscape in the last couple of years. I mean, the last time Tennessee was good before this, it feels like was like the Peyton Manning era. But Tennessee beat Alabama just 2 years ago, I think, maybe 3, but I think it was 2 years ago. And Vanderbilt unranked, excuse me, going in. At home in Arkansas, but still, I mean, that's a great win, obviously, for that program. And yeah, I mean, a tough, like, I'm replaying that last play again. That is absolutely brutal. I get what he's trying to do there, but yeah, I mean, you can't, that's just one of those, like, that should give you nightmares, like, that's just like, come on, man. It reminds me of like Jalen Milroe against Michigan last year when he's trying to run it right up the middle and then gets just blown, like, annihilated at the line there. So yeah, I mean, tough one for Tennessee for sure. I mean, talk about a big fan base. That is a school with a huge fan base, but yeah, I mean, tough one. That's why I like college football though. It's very like cutthroat. It's, you lose a game, you lose 2 games. It's like, all right, you're not that team. You're not, you know what I mean? There's teams out there ripping off undefeated seasons. So you have very little margin of error, and like that's another atmosphere. Like, people probably wouldn't think so, but like the Arkansas, that place goes crazy. Like, they don't have any professional sports, so this is where they all lean in there.
And they took the goalpost. You got to take the
Got it.
goalpost, I guess. That is just the new thing. They got to take the goalpost. I don't know if I saw the video of Vanderbilt or if it was Arkansas. They were carrying the field goal post down the street. I don't know which one. That is wild. That is wild to me. Like, imagine if you're driving down the road and you just look off to your left and you're like, there's a boatload of people walking. And then you look closer and what are they carrying? That's a freaking field goal post. Like, what is this? Like, where what is, oh crap. That's right. Oh, Vanderbilt just pulled out. It's just, that's wild. That's wild to me there. So Arkansas gets the win. Georgia takes care of their business. They bounce back after a loss in Tuscaloosa, 31-13 with the win over Auburn. They're a mess. Auburn's a mess. They will continue to be a mess until they get new coaching down there. Let's get to a little bit of what you know there. Penn State, 27-11 over UCLA. This was a close game at the half, 14-3, a solid game. UCLA didn't play terrible in this game, but just didn't do enough to get the job done there. What did you see? What'd you like out of your Penn State Nittany Lions in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I give UCLA, like, it felt like UCLA just couldn't sustain a drive. Like, they would make good, like, they were making good plays really in all four quarters of that game. Like, they really only had a field goal to the last minute or two, and they tack on that touchdown. But it felt like they were never completely out of that game, which causes me for a little bit of concern. Like, I just thought, I'm not saying that. I mean, the spread was 28.5. I was like, my goodness, they did not even get close to that. So I thought in the third quarter, like, Penn State would really, figure it out a little bit more so than they did. I mean, I think the defense did what they had to do. It was kind of like give up plays here and there and clamp down when they got in the red zone, which I don't necessarily love that, seeing that all the time. It's a little bit like, okay, why can't we just clamp down and get the ball back instead of letting them go down the field? But yeah, I mean, Allard played for the most part pretty good, I thought. They didn't run the ball exceptionally well. I mean, Katron Allen, like the feature back, 21 carries for 78 yards. Really didn't see Nick Singleton. I don't know if they're preserving him for the USC game. I don't necessarily love that point of view either, just because it's like, you got him, use him. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to get these guys hurt. He wasn't on like an injury report or anything. What's crazy is like Liam Clifford, the brother of legendary quarterback Sean Clifford, as you got to see a little bit of in for the Packers there, but he that was his best game by far. I mean, he had 3 catches for over 100 yards, 3 catches, 107 yards. I've never seen him, kind of get massive separation. So I don't know if that's sustainable. I'd like to hope it is, but I don't know if it is. So, I mean, a lot of Penn State fans were saying this was a boring game to watch. But I thought it was, I didn't find this. I thought the Illinois game was a lot more boring than this one for some reason. Maybe it was just the day game and I was more into it or whatever energy wise, but I mean, to me, this score was as much as, he's saying that, what's up with the Eagles? Yeah. A lot of bad things. But
we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. We'll get to that with the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. To me, you can't say it was 27-3 because that's not what the scoreboard indicated, but that's what it really felt like to me. Like when they scored that last minute touchdown, it makes it look closer than it was. Sure, I wanted Penn State. I thought, excuse me, I thought they'd score over like 35 fairly easily, and that, like I said, that pauses me for concern because now we have to go out to USC, which, as you know, is not easy. You just saw the Badgers go out there, so it's I don't know. A lot of fans are saying we should beat USC and lose Ohio State. I don't think USC is like a check mark by any means. I think we're gonna have to play better than we did, and UC, like I said, USC is a different animal. So I mean, yeah, we get away with a win, but I didn't think it was. I've seen worse. I've definitely seen like shakier, low scoring wins, but there was still meat on the bone, if you know what I mean. Like there was more out there than what they did, and that kind of is irritating, but it's a win.
It's a win, but you saw some flaws in there that make you nervous about some good teams. That's basically when you start facing some good teams, then you get a little bit worried about this team. I get it. I get you there. So we'll get on with it quick here. We'll look at the rest of the big games, I guess, that happened in the top 25. Miami survived. Cal blew it late. gave up 21 points in the fourth quarter. Not a good combination to try and pull off an upset win there. So Cal gives it up. 39-38 was the final there. Texas A&M completely blows Missouri away, like 41-10. Missouri, welcome. This is not even welcome. You're used to SEC football. So I don't even know what else to say except for welcome to being a top 10 team this week, because it was disastrous for top 10 teams this week. As Michigan goes down to Washington. I told you, Aaron, that was one of my picks, Washington over Michigan. It just had to happen. Washington gets the job done 27-17. And then you had the pick of USC and Minnesota. And Minnesota pulls off the upset win over number 11 USC 24-17. Wow. It was madness in the top 25 this week. It was madness all the way around. And honestly, I know you don't feel as great about your Penn State Nittany Lions win there, but I tell you what, this week, it's just lucky that you survived. I'm going to be honest with you, because there was teams falling left and right there, and a loss to UCLA for Penn State would have been, wow. You would have been knocked off the map just like that. So, wow. Just a crazy weekend. Anything else to add there, college football-wise?
Not really. I think, just the fact that I forgot USC lost already. I almost think that's worse now. Like that now it kind of, that's exactly right. That might be right. That might be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm definitely worried about and that, like I said, I don't want to make this a Penn State centric show. I'm raising my eyebrow because they're coming off a loss to a team that they shouldn't have lost to. I shouldn't say probably. They shouldn't have lost that game. Like I said, I picked them, but not that means much. But it's like you expected USC to go into Minnesota's not fantastic. Like they're okay. They're not bad, but it's like, man. And now USC coming home, and I'm sure Penn State's now the 4th ranked team in the nation, which is hard to believe, but it is. But it's like, okay, show us you're the 4th rank. This is a show me week for Penn. All the pressure has kind of turned towards Penn State, and you got to go all the way across country. So we'll see. But yeah, Michigan. I live to see Michigan fall. So this is. I don't want to say it was all Harbaugh, but their offense is just they're almost like an Iowa type of situation on offense. It's almost to the Iowa point of just no offense,
Yep. And that's why they're trying to buy them a quarterback at this point, because they need it. They desperately need a quarterback. Actually, Orgy got pulled out in that game, and they ended up switching up the quarterback room, and it still didn't lead to a lot. He didn't play well, or he didn't play bad. I'm trying to remember his name off the top of my head there.
Just had it there.
What the heck was his name there? Jack Tuttle. He didn't play bad. 10 for 18, 98 yards, had a touchdown, but threw a pick. So definitely did not help his case at all there. But they didn't play bad. They finally found a quarterback who can actually throw the ball around. So that's, I guess, something to look forward to if you are a Michigan fan. All hope is not lost. The defense is still good for Michigan. It's just, it might be lost. All hope might be lost. Yeah. So I want to get to, Fan in the Van podcast. Thanks for tuning in. He had a comment there. He said, Packers got a squad, but what's with this Romeo situation in Green Bay? I wanted to get into that first because last week, before I knew what was going on, I said prayers to this guy because I hope everything is well with him and everything like that. And because nobody knew what was going on in the situation. All we knew was a personal matter. You never know with those. It could be something with his family. It could be something health-wise with him. You don't know. Well, then the breaking news came out. Romeo Doubs skipped practice on Thursday and wasn't present Friday because he was upset at his opportunities in the passing game. So he wasn't getting the ball a lot. So he's upset. So he didn't show up, right? So then the Packers, they go and they suspend him for Sunday, today's game against the Rams. They suspended him out of that game. And, Matt LaFleur said it after the game there. He goes, I'm looking forward to our conversation tomorrow. I fully anticipate him coming back. I'm hopeful that he'll come back and get ready to work. Distractions happen in the NFL. Distractions happen in life. That's what he had to say about the whole situation. He did not sound optimistic when he was talking in that when he was talking in the press conference. What's going on in the Romeo situation is this is a guy who he's not getting the ball. I did not, honestly, when I've heard Dobbs talk, when I've seen Dobbs, and, this is a quiet guy. This is a not very outspoken guy who doesn't say, a lot of crap. He doesn't seem like he would be this guy. And then all of a sudden this comes out and I'm like, what is going on, right? What is going on? And you can look at it from two ways, right? You can look at it from the perspective of Dobbs, who is saying to himself, well, if I don't start producing this year and next year, well, my big money day is going to turn into a lot less because my production's not there. So he's looking at it from that perspective, saying, I need the ball more. I need more targets to try and get that. Now you look at it from the realistic perspective. Jordan Love just came back last week. Jordan Love was out for multiple weeks there where you had Malik Willis at the starting quarterback position. You had Malik Willis throwing the ball, who the Packers game planned as a run. We're going to run. Look at the Colts game. We ran it 52 times against the Colts. Next game out, still ran the football against the Titans. I mean, it turned into a run-first offense. So when you have a guy like Romeo Dobbs complaining about the passing game and lack of attention to him, dude, you haven't had Jordan Love for multiple weeks. He just came back against the Vikings. Sorry. I don't know if you want a sorry in that situation. And then you get to the realist point with you have Reed, you have Wicks, you have Watson, you have Dobbs. Okay, so Reed's going off. Reed's having a fantastic year already. So Reed's going to get a lot of attention. If Wicks stops dropping the ball, I want to get to that, but if Wicks stops dropping the ball, he's going to get a lot of attention. So guess what? When those two guys start getting a lot of attention, guys you're going to get the number 2 corner on you. You're going to get the number 3 corner on you. Guess what, Romeo? The ball's coming your way. The ball is going to get to you when it gets to you. This is what I loved about the Packers offense that's now is apparently hurting them is the fact of we have an offensive coordinator and an offense that is ran around Jordan Love where Love spreads the ball out to all his guys, Kraft, Musgrave. You have all these guys there. And yet you aren't getting the ball enough. So, and I've fan in a van podcast there brought up, he said, agreed, they have a good receiver room, better than my team till they get Adams. Who's his team? Who's
he's a Steelers guy. He's a Steelers.
Oh, Steelers guy out there.
And those rumors are heating up. I mean, Devontae Adams has wanted out of there since I don't blame him. I mean, I don't know if you saw that clip of him saying like, a family-friendly show. But he said, I'm getting effing killed out here. I'm getting effing hit every effing play. Like, get me the F out, So, like, it's clear, like, he doesn't want to be in. And I don't necessarily blame him. It's funny. Like, I'd kind of love for him to go to the Jets and then them still fail. Like, just because it's like they think now, like, look, they lost again. Like, they're 2-3. I thought Aaron Rodgers was supposed to be the savior for the Jets, and now we're sitting here and they're 2-3. It's like that's not that much different than when Zach Wilson was there. Like, it's just funny, but. Yeah, I mean, if the Steelers got him, like that would be something. I mean, that'd
be huge. That'd be huge for the Steelers there. But that's another guy. Packer fans are like, oh, make a trade with Romeo Dobbs in it for Adams. I'm like, why would I want Adams back? You're talking about another guy who just wants the football. He wants the football in his hands. We don't want that in Green Bay right now because we want to have the amount of weapons that we do where they're all okay with. Wicks came out after a game. It was Watson. It might have been Watson who said after a game, I didn't get a lot of catches this game, but I was blocking. I was doing my part there and we won the game. That's what matters. That's what matters at the end of the day. So, I mean, Romeo, I love this guy. I love Romeo Dobbs, but at the end of the day, if this is the crap, this crap's going to continue, I see ya. Like, you're either on the bus or you're not on the bus. Like, either get on or you're not. I mean, at the end of the day, dude, you're either with us or you're not. And if that's the case, we'll see you later. We'll see you later there. That's what I got to say on the Romeo Dobbs situation. It is a mess. It is a mess. I'm hoping they get it figured out. But at the same time, if he doesn't want to get on the bus, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is the offense we run. This is how it's going to work. If you don't like it, tough shit. Like, end of the day, tough business. I don't know what else to tell you. If you don't like the offense, we're not going to play this game. You're a young wide receiver. You don't have ground to stand on yet. You have zero ground to stand on. So good luck. good luck out there. So I wanted to get to a couple more comments here. Kyle Edwards jumping in the chat. They're a good friend of the show. Kyle, what's up? I mean, we didn't miss the comment. We were just in the middle of something there. And he also says that the Jets stink. We agree. Nothing is better when Aaron Rodgers has a bad day, because when he has a bad day, Packer fans automatically win out there. And then we got Fan in the Van says they want a second round when Diggs got traded for a third and a fourth, or fourth sets the market. Do you think the Bills, speaking of, I don't want to get too far off topic here with the Packers, but you think that the Bills would be a team who would think about Davante Adams? You think, because they don't have a lot of weapons in that room for Josh Allen. You think that they would be a team, they lost Diggs, but now they're like, Davante's out there. They're looking for a trade. Maybe, just maybe.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily blame them. I mean, coming from, I mean, you got to think AJ Brown's a diva. Like, I don't want to call, yeah, we have. Yeah, we've definitely ripped into the Jets on plenty of collabs there in the past. But, yeah, I mean, coming from like I said, AJ Brown's a diva. I mean, I don't know, Fan the Van, Jim over there at Fan in the Van. Tell me if I'm wrong. I think Pickens is a diva. Like, I'm not trying to say that like he's a bad guy. I root against him. None of that. I just think all these superstar receivers are divas. So how much can you put up with it? Like we saw it in Philadelphia, it lasted one season. Like T.O. was too much. It was just detrimental to everything that they were. I mean, guy's a hell of a player. I mean, he catapulted that team to the Super Bowl. You know, one of the best receiving seasons for an Eagles receiver ever. But like Diggs was a diva. You know what I mean? It was every year screaming, get the ball. You know, this and that. And then like, do you want to involve yourself in a Davante Adams who's kind of the same way? Like they're all. I'm not gonna say they're all the same, but like those superstar guys are superstars because they want the ball too. Like they demand the ball basically. So I could see the Bills. I mean, now the Bills have dropped 2 straight. Everybody thought the Bills were invincible, and like, oh, nobody thought the Bills would be that good this year. And now look, boom, the Bills have dropped 2 good games in a row. So, what's it, Adams?
So Fan in the Van, he says, Adams, from what I hear, wants to be with a QB he has worked with. So it's Aaron Seabiscuit tendon or Derek, where's my car? I like this guy. I like this guy here.
Yeah,
good stuff there. Like, good stuff.
As much as Fan in the Van, I mean, hey, he likes the Steelers and the Yankees. It can't be too bad, right? You can't.
Ooh,
but he calls it how it is. He calls it how it is. Like I respect it. So. And they were kind of everybody's getting on me today for having 2 teams, which I mean I hate myself for having 2 teams. I sometimes I can't look at myself in the mirror for having 2 teams. So I'll admit I'll own up to that one. But yeah, I mean, what do you think? I'm not gonna say is the juice worth the squeeze, right? Like I think the juice is definitely worth it with Davante. Like he's proven he's consistent. He stays healthy. Like he's a guy that like you can count on him, but if you're Josh Allen, you're like, finally, we're without a diva, and boom, now you bring Davante. It's like, oh, here's Stephon Diggs 2.0 with the like. If the Bills didn't lose these, I'll end it on this. If the Bills didn't lose 2 in a row, if they just lost the 1 bounce back today, I don't think these conversations would be as like broad. You know, maybe we're not having this type of, but you lose 2 in a row, it's like exactly. You got to bash your team. We bash our teams like crazy on here, but like. If they're just rolling, like if they're the Vikings right now, you probably don't even think about bringing on Davante Adams, you know?
Yep. No, I agree. You know, it's a situational thing. And the Vikings, I don't think they want to deal with that mess. And then you look at, the Packers. Why would you want to deal with that? Packer fans out there are saying, yeah, let's go for it. I'm not one of those guys. I'm like, hey, we have this wide receiver room before Romeo Dobbs. I was like, these guys don't care if they get the ball or not. They just want to win football games. And now Romeo comes out with this and it changes the whole demeanor of this wide receiver room. So, still a good wide receiver room in Green Bay. So I'm not overly concerned. It would be lovely. It'd be great to have Dobbs back, but at the same time, if this is how he wants to be, there's the door, buddy. Like we'll see on the flip side. You can go play with Aaron Rodgers or wherever you want to go play. I don't care at that point. So, there's the Dobbs situation for you guys. We just wanted to mention that here before we got into the Packers a little bit. So the Packers, they survive 24-19. The defense, they got ran all over. The run defense for Green Bay is a major concern for me right now. I look at this team. in this one. Looking at rushing yards given up, they gave up a total of 134 on the game there. And it doesn't seem crazy, but it was crazy. The Rams were running all over them. There was holes big enough to back a bus down in this one. The Packers defense, they couldn't fill. Quay Walker is still struggling in run defense. The defensive front for Green Bay, I watch Kenny Clark. I watch Rashawn Gary, all these guys. They get into the backfield. It looks like, holy crap, they're going to blow up a play. And then they miss a tackle. And then Kyren Williams, he's a good running back. I'm not going to lie. Kyren Williams is a good running back. He's good at changing directions. He's solid there. But, just man, oh man, this run defense for Green Bay is just getting torched right now. They're just getting torched. They take their opportunities when they got them. Let's go with that. They take their opportunities when they got them, because McKinney, another interception. I don't know if you saw that, Aaron, but McKinney gets another pick. I had the stat. There is a stat on it. I posted it on our Facebook page out there. 5 picks in 5 games. First player, he is the first Packer to ever do it. First Packer to ever do it there. Have 5 games with an interception in his first 5 games. And it's actually since the 1970 merger, McKinney is the only NFL player to do it in his first 5. It ties Irv Kamp for 5 straight in team history in 1943. So you got to go all the way back to 1943 to find that stat. So McKinney, this guy is unreal. He might be the most underrated star to come out of the free agency period. The Packers grab him up there. You got to love it there. And I love that. I love the opportunities that they take. But at the same time, this defense is getting beat up in the run game right now. So there's answers that need to be given in that department there. But like Kyle said there, you look at Jordan Love. He has an absolutely beautiful throw to Jaden Reed. And I tell you what, the throw, fantastic. The throw is fantastic. But I look at that play from Reed, the concentration to be able to haul that ball in. There's 3 defenders around him there, and he's able to haul that thing in. That was, both ends of it were beautiful. Everything was great on that end. So you got to love that. But also there comes the situation with Jordan Love where it's still, I don't know if it's being young. I don't know if he just his brain is still trying to figure it out, but he makes these ill-advised decisions, these ill-advised throws where he's throwing it into traffic, 3 guys around, 4 guys around. And then there was the pick 6 that he had today where he's, in the end zone there, he gets bumped. He's going to fall down, get a safety there. He ends up flipping it out, trying to get it towards Kraft, and Kraft sees it late, ends up being picked, taken to the house there. Just those decisions by Jordan Love make you question it. He has a lot of those throws where it's still like, this guy's still young. He's still figuring it out. I'm not overly worried with it, I guess I should say. I'm not overly worried with it. But when it comes to the point where, the Christian Watson throw where he got banged up, it sucks to see Christian Watson go down again. A lot of fans upset that Christian Watson's hurt again. But you look at that throw, you look where Jordan Love put Christian Watson in that game. It was a dangerous throw. We talk about quarterbacks making dangerous throws where they put, their wide receiver's head on a platter, and he's just got to accept that he's going to get licked. Well, Watson got licked on that one, ends up getting banged up, hurt. Luckily not on the IR, hopefully back soon, but gets hurt on that play. The dangerous throws out of Jordan Love are the things that worry me, I guess I want to say there. He has a good day. 15 for 26, 224 yards, 2 touchdowns. The second half was fantastic. Kraft has a good game. I tell you what, Aaron, I don't know. I'm going to ask you this. Have you seen a lot of Tucker Kraft there for the Packers? Because when I watch this guy, I'm telling you what, the Packers have a little-known star in the making in Green Bay right now with Tucker Kraft. This guy blocks. This guy is an excellent route runner. This guy can do it all for you. And we saw it today, 88 yards, 4 catches, 2 touchdowns, putting the team on his back early in the second half there and doing his thing out in open space. I love it. I loved every second of it. Had you had time to see any of Tucker Kraft there with this Packers team?
I have not. Maybe he's a descendant of Robert Kraft. No, but no. There's a football
tie, the winning ways are there. The winning ways are there. We don't want the rest of it, but
I have not. Correct me if I'm with Packers teams in the past, it was like Jordy Nelson, it was like Devontae Adams, Donald Driver, like not to say these guys don't have marquee names, but like they're not household names. You know what I mean? Like Jordan Love's probably the closest they have to. I mean, Jacobs, but like Jacobs not like a Packer. You know what I mean? Like he's a transplant from the Raiders. So it's like, I honestly, the only time I was really cued in on the Packers obviously was week 1. Which I don't remember him doing like a lot that game, but obviously that's a long time ago. But yeah, I'm not well versed in Tucker Kraft yet, but maybe I should be.
Oh, you should be. Oh, everybody out there in the chat, anywhere like that, you should be tuning in to watch Tucker Kraft, because this guy, I'm telling you now, he is George Kittle. He is the Travis Kelce's of the world. He's turning into that guy. He will be that guy at some
Hopefully
point.
Not Kelce. No,
hopefully not the good side of Kelce. We want the good side of Kelce, not the Taylor Swift mess of a situation Kelce. We don't want the haircut. We don't want the stash. Everything that's going on with him right now, we don't want that mess. We want the ball player. So, I mean, but Tucker Kraft, man, if you don't know him out there yet, you got to watch some film. You got to watch this guy, because he is an all-around fantastic football player. I love what I'm seeing out of Tucker Kraft there. Josh Jacobs, another big day for him. 19 carries, 73 yards, a touchdown for Josh Jacobs. His first touchdown with Green Bay. You love it. And the way that he scored it, the Rams, I don't know what it is, but they struggle at tackling. I don't know what it is. They miss a lot of tackles. And Jacobs goes up to the line. They miss a tackle. He ends up bouncing it completely across the field and ends up scoring a touchdown, his first one with Green Bay. Love that there. There was a couple other plays where the Rams were thrown into that same situation where, I mean, it's a mess. It is a mess. The Rams are just a mess right now. I don't know what it is. But that defense, I tell you what, that defensive front, they put pressure on you. Jordan Love was in some serious distress in this game. I didn't expect that because, you look at this offensive line for Green Bay against the Vikings. Jordan Love didn't have that much pressure in his face all game long. It wasn't, like this. And now the Rams come in and they're like, this offensive line ain't that good, and they're going right through you. I mean, it was definitely an interesting thing there to see how good that defensive front is for the Rams. We talked about it a little bit in the preview show that they weren't bad, but I was impressed. Completely impressed by what I saw there. Outside of that, I mentioned it before, but Quay Walker has struggled in the run game, and Edgerrin Cooper has been fantastic for the Packers, linebacker there. He has been fantastic. He's making plays. He's in the backfield. Him, Evan Williams, and Javian Bullard are guys that I keyed in on in this game because, Rashawn Gary, those guys, they ain't cutting it for me right now. So I'm watching these guys out there. I love what I'm seeing out of those guys. I want to see more Edgerrin Cooper in there for Quay Walker. I don't know if you move Quay Walker over to the off-ball guy. I don't know if that's the route you want to go. I know they have faith in him, but it seems like Quay Walker's got all the talent in the world, but he can't get off a block. He can't get off a block. He can't make tackles. And he makes tackles in space, but it seems like he blows past the play. He's not consistent. It's just all the bad that you can ask for in a middle linebacker that you can't have. You can't have that when you're getting beat up in the run game. You need this guy to be big. That's where I think Cooper can fill in. So I don't know. I am there. I love Quay Walker. I want to see Quay Walker do me something. But what I'm seeing out of Edgerrin Cooper right now is I want to see more out of him there. So I had a question for you, Aaron. So the Packers have had a little bit of an issue with Dontavian Wicks. This guy, fantastic receiver. He's able to, he's a great route runner. He reminds you of almost like I heard Tony Romo say it, I believe. It was like a Brandon Ayuk. He was mentioning that name with him. He's a fantastic route runner. He gets himself open, finds space, able to, get himself in position to catch balls. But he's got a drop problem right now. He's got a drop problem, wide open balls, everything like that. I know there's some pressure around him, but he's got a drop problem. And Packer fans are getting kind of restless with it. Now, I'm not giving up on the guy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to give up on this guy. But I guess, you're watching this guy. He's dropping balls left and right. What are you thinking with a guy like that where he's got all the ability in the world, but he's not guaranteed that he's going to haul in an open pass? Where are you at with a guy like that?
See, that comes down to probably the mental side of the game. Oh, see, as my mic goes flying off the table. I didn't catch that, so I'm just as guilty. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying like the level from college to NFL, obviously it's a huge difference. But like, if he wasn't doing it in college, I'd almost think, is it, hey, I'm up here in the NFL. Like, this is like, it's the game's going way too fast for me, and I'm thinking about things too much. Like, if you're not as a receiver, I mean, I never was. He's Clifford Franklin. I don't even know what that means. I'm a little confused on that.
I don't know who Clifford Franklin is. You're gonna have to
is that like
be
a
more
Penn
specific.
State like Sean Clifford and James Franklin? I mean, I don't know about that.
That's a dangerous combo right there.
But no, I mean, I gotta think, because I've seen guys on the Eagles do that where it's like they just drop the ball. Like, it's like there's a guy, Quez Watkins. He could run past everybody. You throw him a deep ball, he's dropping it every time. It's like, dude, your one job is to, like, not your one job. You got to run routes. You got to block occasionally, but like catching the ball is like, that's like a quarterback not being able to throw the ball. It's like, well, okay, we need you to catch the ball. Like, that's what you're signed up for. So I got to think maybe he's just in his head too much. Like, I'm not saying that some guys don't have stones for hands. The replacement. Oh, I see. I'm slacking.
Oh, there it is. I forgot about the replacement. I thought you were talking real football players right there.
What do you think it's? To me, it's like I said, there are guys out there that have stones for hands, and that's just they just have stones for hands. But if you can catch the ball at like a really good clip in the college game, as long as you can get separation in the NFL, I don't see why. Like, you just turn into a drop mag. I mean, we saw Des Bryant, even like he was in his prime, and all of a sudden he just drops at literally anything going towards that guy, he was dropping. So I think he's probably overthinking it.
Yeah, it does seem, that was my big thought, was it's a mental standpoint for him and trying to make the play before the play's even there. Right? You talk about in baseball all the time, guys going for the tag before they actually have the ball. It's like Wicks is trying to make a move before he actually secured the catch. You want guys to be able to do both at the same time, but at the same time, you got to make sure you got the catch first there. I know Wicks, I just looked up this, I couldn't find the stat specifically, but I saw through the first month of the season, no receiver had dropped more passes than Wicks. He had 4 drops, including 3 against the Vikings in their loss there. So you're talking about 3 drops against the Vikings. I believe you had a couple against the Rams there. So you're adding on to that total there. It's definitely not great, but it's like we're talking. It's one of those mental things where maybe he sees a game there where he has 5 catches for 5 for 6 or something like that. That gets his confidence going. You got to get yourself putting, into a confident situation, just like Kyle Edwards just commented in there saying he might be putting too much pressure on himself to make a big play after catch. 100% agree. 100% agree with you there. You got to make the play first before you make the big play after that catch. And that came up big for the Packers in this one because they had a 3rd down where Wicks dropped a catch, which could have resulted in a first down, but he dropped the catch there. Packers ended up giving it back to the Rams, and then they went on a little bit of a drive themselves before the Packers defense put on a stand. The game could have turned on its head right there because of one drop. And you don't want to blame that. I'm not blaming the game on him or anything like that, but in that point, it could have been dangerous. It definitely could have been a dangerous spot situation, whatever you want to call it. So it's one of those things where you hope that he can work through it because, like I said, this guy, I called him out to be one of my breakout players of the year for the Packers. He's that good in route running. He's that explosive where he's a big play kind of guy. I was just looking at his stats there. I believe he's got 1 catch over 20 plus yards on the year so far. Not huge, but this is a guy where he's, like I said, great route running, able to blow the top off of a defense. You need that in those kinds of guys. And he's had opportunities for those big plays, but drop the pass. And, you don't want to say that, those plays, there wasn't a hand in there wasn't contact or anything like that. But at some point, you need guys to make catches like that. So hopefully, we're hoping that Wicks is able to figure out and move on from that situation. So offensively for the Packers in this one, they had a fast start and then they slowed down. They definitely slowed down in this one. The Rams were able to take the lead in this game against